Okay, let's have a look at the pieces. So the alloy motor mounts are made out of 7075 aluminium. Very nicely made. Four pieces. Next is the aluminium frame. Four pieces make that up. We have
1, 2, 3, and 4.
two side plates.
1, 2, top plate. That's the main plate. 2 torque bars. We got 2 standoffs.
And of course we've got 4 arms. So there's some nylon hardware used on the main plate here. Nylon is used because there's no electrical conductivity and helps isolate the pieces. So that's it. Sorry, I left out the EVA foam before, and also the little battery strap. So the EVA foam is to protect your battery, which straps onto the bottom. And then the strap goes around. Okay, so with all the carbon pieces from factory, they're chamfered. The edges are chamfered, nicely finished. The end grain there. It's just an old habit from racing cars, but I've super glued them. Anyway, let's assemble them. Wow, that's a really nice fit. You can see there, press fit, really nice and snug. There's no slop. Because I'll be taking these apart later, reassembling, I'm not going to put Loctite on right now, but the manual recommends you put Loctite on. Oops, might have spoke too soon. Hang on a sec. I think I spoke too soon about the fit. That one's definitely thicker.
The first one is
if anybody's used vernier calipers, you know that there's sort of plus or minus 0.02, because you're trying to read that where it lines up, so it can be a little bit hit and miss sometimes, so plus or minus 0.02. So 1, 3 and 4 I think is fine, no problems. And
you see that's quite nice.
so with this one, I will try to lap it, take off about not quite half a mil, 0.44 I'll try to take off. I can go down to 0.46 if I just see how I go. So the setup that I've got to lap this carbon is a piece of porcelain tile and some 400 grit wet and dry. Oops, sorry about the light. So that's the finished product. I've lapped it. Also put some finishing resin on it. You can see that actually, it wasn't uniform. It was actually pretty close up this end to 4 mil. But down here was 4.46. So I'm guessing this was probably the edge of when they were laying the matting, this was at the edge. So some of you out there with talons, you might actually have the same if they're all laid out parallel. Because I'm not actually too concerned about the strength aspect, because if it has been laid unidirectionally, a little bit of matting on the surface is not going to make a big difference. There's plenty to make 4 mil. That's quite a lot of layers of matting, so I'm not really too worried. Anyway, so I've put a bit of finishing resin on it. Now, you might be wondering why I just didn't bash in the motor mount onto the carbon. There's about half a mil difference between the thickest and the thinnest. Half a mil I think is just a bit too much to try to spread on the motor mount. Being 7075, it's not really malleable. That's what makes it aircraft grade. 7075 is quite hard, so I was actually worried that I'd damage the engine mount. Secondly, by knocking it in, I run the risk of gouging out the lapping it carbon anyway. Pretty fair thing to do. Okay, so we're going to assemble the side plates and the top plate. One thing that I have pre-done, because it was a little bit tricky, was putting in these press fits. Essentially what I did was put a bit of super glue inside the hole. Then I had a washer M3 by 10 Allen head screw, which I used to pull the press nut into the carbon fibre, and then with the glue it's made it quite secure. I've had press fits come out before, that's why I used a bit of super glue to make sure it stayed in. Step 4. Now it's beginning to take shape. You'll notice that there's some machine slots. That's where the main board goes. Main plate, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna put the 4.02 arms at the front. The keys into there.
This goes over the top. Damn, which one is it?
Now I've backed off all these screws so that when I put it on the deck I can take out any tweaks. Now that is looking like a racer. If you take a close look at the motor mounts, these holes, even though they look elongated, they're actually 2 holes for the 2 different PCDs on these motors. It's a bit clearer there. Those 2 holes are on a different PCD to those 2. So in effect, what you have is although it looks like it's a slotted hole, it's actually more like more like that. So yeah, these guys have put quite a lot of thought into this model. And there we have it. It's very, very stiff.